Om Shanti, brothers and sisters. How are you? Hope you are all doing fine. I'm fine as well. So today we are going to enter the second part of Mahabharata series. So in the first part we have seen the secret behind the killing of her own children by Ganga Devi, by Gange. And now in this part what we are going to see is the significance of the oath taken by Bhishma, who is actually the eighth son of Ganga Devi. That's the only son who was not killed by her due to the intervention of her husband, King Shantanu. So this Bhishma, he was actually named by Devrath by his mother Ganga, and he was grown till his teenage by his mother itself, and only after that she hands this child Devrath to Shantanu, and she disappears again. Now this Devrath, he actually learned from many scholars, many gurus. So all credit goes to Ganga Devi because it's her who nurtured him. So Shantanu was very much impressed by the knowledge of Bhishma. Actually, this Devrath was later called Bhishma, but to avoid confusion, let me not use Devrath hereafter. Let me use only Bhishma because these two names refer to the same person. So this Bhishma, while he was with his father, a trader brings a horse and he says, no kings have the courage to control this horse. So many soldiers of Shantanu tried their hands, but they all failed to control it. And finally, Shantanu himself said he would control it, but Bhishma intervened and he said he would control it, and he did control it. So he said he wanted to take that horse for a ride, and on his way he saw the neighbor king coming with the intention of acquiring this Hastinapur, for which the Shantanu is the king. So this Bhishma, on seeing them, want them to go back to their place, or else they'll have to face the consequence. So that king with his army actually underestimated this Bhishma because he was single. So without paying any attention to his word, they start moving forward. Then Bhishma start taking his arrows and start fighting against them, and he conquered them. Now he brings this king as a prisoner, and he hands him over to the king Shantanu. And king, after discussing with his members on what punishment he should give this king, his counterpart. But Bhishma interferes and says, killing will never end the rivalry. Only the friendship does. So let's be friends with this king. And Shantanu is really surprised by the intelligence of his child, of his son. So he made Bhishma the crown prince, which means he has to be the king after him. So one day, while he was going for hunting, on his way he happens to meet a beautiful girl called Satyavati. She was actually a daughter of a boatman. So he falls in love instantly by seeing her beauty. So he goes to the parents' house and asks his permission to marry Satyavati. But Satyavati's father says that Shantanu can marry Satyavati on one condition, that Satyavati should be made queen, and only the son who is going to be born to Satyavati should be the next king. So on listening to this condition, Shantanu becomes real angry because he has already made Bhishma as the crown prince. So even after knowing this, Satyavati's father Dasharaj is putting this condition, so he gets real angry and he's not ready to accept that condition. He comes out of the Satyavati's house. But even after coming out of Satyavati's house, his mind still lingers around Satyavati. So what he does basically is he takes his friend with him in his chariot, and he goes daily to the river where Satyavati was taking passengers from one side of the river to another side. So Shantanu on one hand is loving Satyavati. On another hand, he couldn't break the promise. So he becomes very sad. On seeing the sad face of his father, Bhishma becomes very suspicious and He asked his father what happened, but he didn't reveal that. After that, he asked his father's friend to tell the truth, and he reveals everything after some time. And Bhishma himself goes to Satyavati's home, and he finds out the truth from Satyavati's father. And he says to Satyavati's father that Shantanu has already promised him to be the next king, so he couldn't break the promise. But Bhishma can decide whether or not to be the next king. So he said he actually promised that he would never be willing to be the king of Hastinapur. He promises that he will make the son of Satyavati the next king. But Satyavati's father Dashraj, he asks, what if Bhishma's son claimed to be the next king? So on hearing this, Bhishma says, yes, it is true that he has no right to interfere with the rights of his son, but he does have every right to be unmarried throughout his life. So he says that if I stay unmarried, obviously I will have no sons to be the competitor for the son of Satyavati for the post of king. So on hearing this, Dashraj, that is the Satyavati's father, becomes very much convinced, and he sends his daughter along with Bhishma for getting married to Shantanu. So on his way back to the palace, Satyavati asks to stop the chariot, and she gets down, and she was saying that nobody can ever get a child like Bhishma, and she couldn't express her thanks for him, so she said that she wants to touch his feet. On hearing this, Bhishma refuses that because he says it is not dharma for allowing mother to touch the son's feet. Instead, only the son should touch the mother's feet. So he touches her feet, and he takes her to his home and says everything that happened to Shantanu. On hearing this, Shantanu becomes very angry and very much worried that he is not actually willing to stake his son's life for his sensory pleasure, and he doesn't even want to stake the future of the kingdom for the unborn kid. For that, Bhishma makes another promise, saying that he will stay by the welfare of Hastinapur, and he will see his father's image in the Satyavati's son's face, and he will serve him till his last breath. So on hearing this, Shantanu becomes convinced, and he starts giving blessing to Bhishma. The blessing is the death should never touch Bhishma until he desires. So that's the blessing. So that's the story. So now let's come to the actual truth hidden in this incident. So as I mentioned earlier, all these religious texts represent a true incident that happened 5000 years back in Sangam Yuga. So this direct knowledge of God is given through Brahmakumaris. So God says the world consists of this 5000 year time cycle. So this is called one kalpa, and whatever happens in one kalpa, the same incidents repeat kalpa after kalpa. So God says the first 2500 years will be heaven. The earth will be heaven, and the next 2500 years the same earth which was once heaven will be hell. So the heaven is nothing but the new world created by God. The new world, once it becomes old, is turned into hell. So we first took birth in heaven as angels. We had this enormous power of thoughts. Whatever we think, that will definitely happen. But after taking several births, after the completion of first 2500 years, we start losing the power, the wealth, the health, everything. You know why? It's probably because while we were in heaven, we had this conscious that we are the imperishable soul that shines like a star in between the eyebrows. So that is the natural capacity of this soul consciousness, that we had this enormous power. But after taking several births, after the completion of first 2500 years, we slowly forget the fact that we are souls, and instead we start considering ourselves as this perishable body, because of which we start developing body conscious characters like lust, anger, attachment, jealousy, and ego. So because of these five vices, all we experience is suffering, and more suffering. So God comes in the last 100 years to rescue us from this suffering and put us back to heaven, to make us back to angels. So for that, all we need to do is to consider ourselves again as souls and connect our mind back to God, who is also a soul residing here. We souls, before taking birth in this earth, were residing without body as souls in this soul world. God is also a soul. He is at the top of this soul world, and this one God is called as God Shiva by Hindus, Supreme Heavenly Father by Christians, Allah by Muslims. He is actually the father of all souls, which is why he is called Supreme Soul. Param Pita. Param means supreme, Pita means father. So the only difference between God and us is we both are souls, but we take birth. We enter this birth and death cycle. God stays away from this cycle. But only God has this knowledge. Somehow we have to know this knowledge to become angels again, to convert this hell back to heaven. So for that, God has to come, and he has no choice. And since he doesn't have a body of his own, he enters this old man's body and he names him as Brahma and gives this teaching. And all he asks us to do is to consider ourselves as soul, and we have to connect our mind to God who shines like a star in this orange colored light world. This is all Rajayoga is all about. Rajayoga is connecting our mind to God correctly. Okay. And the main reason that we lose all our power is by falling into the Satan's trap. The main trap set by Satan is lust. So we promise God in our last birth to stay away from lust. So this promise we do to our Supreme Father is represented in that Bhishma's story as his promise that he will stay unmarried or celibate throughout his life. It doesn't mean that we should never get married. It means we should never have lust either physically or mentally. That's the promise we give to God. As a result, the blessing given by God is this deathless life for the next 2500 years. We will leave the body, we will leave the old body and take the new one, but based on our will. We know when to leave this body. That is not called death, because death means losing one's body without our will. We have no choice, we have to. But here, after completing 150 years lifespan, we'll have the vision of the new body that we are going to enter, we souls are going to enter. So after seeing that, we'll be very happy to get a new body. So we'll be readying this new body, this old body, to enter the new body. So that is what called the deathless world in Bible, Quran, and all religious texts. So part of India was heaven, and it is where we enjoy the deathless life for the first 2500 years. So that is the blessing given directly by God, and this is represented as the blessing given by Shantanu to his son for the reason that he has promised to stay unmarried throughout his life. So, and the first horse that he controls after coming to Hastinapur, that horse actually represents the human body. Even in Vedas, the human body is called by the name Ashwamedha. So controlling the horse means controlling the bodily senses, those 5 senses. So nobody has ever controlled that horse before the arrival of God. Only now God teaches us the way to have full control over your body. How can we achieve that? By considering ourselves as the soul that controls this body, the soul that is entirely different from this body, by connecting our mind to God. So these are the ways to have full control over the senses. So every single incident of all religious of all the stories represented in religious texts, they all represent the single truth that happens in the last 100 years called Sangam Yuga. So as of now, you have and about this he is actually promising Bhishma is promising for the sake of an unborn child, right? Satyavati's child. What does it actually mean? It actually means we have the goal. What is our goal? To become angel, to become number one angel. The number one angel is Sri Narayan. So that is our aim. Whether we become Narayan or not, it purely depends on the amount of effort we put. But everybody has equal right. But whether you work for that or not, it is quite up to you, right? So Narayan is not born. Okay, he is yet to be born. So we do this promise to be born as Narayan. So that is what represented by the promise to stay pure throughout Bhishma's life for the sake of Satyavati's unborn child. Okay, actually here Satyavati means Satyam. Satyam means truth. Truth means God. God is the only truth. So we are already God's children. Brahmakumar itself means God's children. But the angels are also God's children, right? Because only by taking this knowledge we in the next birth be born as angels. So I hope now you have known the real truth behind Bhishma's promise, the unborn child, Shantanu's blessings. So everything is happening right now live in the Sangam Yuga. So where do you get all this knowledge? Only in Brahmakumaris centers. You can never get this knowledge in any religion, any religious text. So everything else was created by humans, and only God is truth. Truth will always be one, and it is only through Brahmakumaris truth is being revealed. So this is the actual revelation by God. So please hurry to the nearest Brahmakumaris center, and you can locate the nearest Brahmakumaris center address by logging into brahmakumaris.com if you are from India. If you are residing outside India, log into brahmakumaris.org. So that's the only place you can learn directly from God. Okay, now I want to thank you all for watching all my videos, for subscribing to my videos, for liking these videos, for sharing these videos with all your friends, and I thank you all in advance. And please help spread this message to all your friends and relatives so that they can also be part of this blissful life in heaven, because this is the greatest gift that you can possibly give to your loved ones. So don't miss this chance, because time is very short. This world is going to be heaven within the next 20 years. So you must be very lucky soul to have witnessed this video, or else this chance is not going to be there for everybody, right? So we have to be very lucky to get direct knowledge from God. So don't miss this chance. Go to the Brahmakumaris center as soon as possible, and stay tuned for revealing more secrets. Om Shanti. Thanks again for watching, my friends. I thank you one and all right from the bottom of my heart. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll try to answer in the upcoming videos. Thank you. Om Shanti. If any of your questions remain unanswered in the comment section, it obviously means I'm going to answer it in the future video. So keep watching for your answers in the upcoming videos. Om Shanti.